advisor on drug policy. And so when he showed up at this event, they were even more blown away, and everybody's patting themselves in the back. Hey, we got the big guy here, you know, things are changing, it's all happening. And all of a sudden, this guy, I think Robert Bourne, was even upstairs in one of sort of the private rooms with, I think, Keith and a whole bunch of other individuals, and sitting around a table snorting cocaine. Next thing they know, Jimmy Carter's head advisor on drug policy was snorting cocaine at the table with him. They couldn't believe it themselves. They tried not to talk about it and keep it quiet, but this was Washington, D.C. There was many people coming and going from the room. Rumors swirled, it hit the media. A few days later, all of a sudden, it was front page news in the United States that Jimmy Carter's drug policy advisor is a cokehead, partying with Normal. So not only was Jimmy Carter's administration seriously questioned about their intentions in changing the cannabis laws, but the Normal was really dealt a very serious blow of credibility.
What was Normal again?
National Organization for Reform of Marijuana Laws.
Okay.
So it was basically like a bunch of lawyers that, you know, were doing very well in their advocacy that just like pop. It's known as the Bourne incident. I write a little bit about it there. So, you know, I use it as sort of an example of how many people in this movement have, you know, achieved certain states of success and then just blown it entirely by doing things that were quite irresponsible at times. So Normal's still around, thankfully, though in the United States things have gone really strange, just like, you know, there's such a polarized society down there. So you hear about all these ballot initiatives that have occurred. George Soros is a billionaire philanthropist though.
That was very fun.
Okay, good. In the United States, he's sponsors all sorts of things, but he's put millions, tens of millions of dollars into ballot initiatives in the United States. So when you hear about, I think there's 11 different states that have passed medical laws, and maybe another 13 that have passed, you know, kind of quasi-decriminalization laws, or certainly less severe penalties than the national laws. They've been pretty much funded by George. Mark Emery and others have threw in some money as well, so it's not solely George, but it costs a lot of money to get a ballot initiative on in the United States, which is why I would say it's been at times not very successful down there, because they've wasted money trying to get ballot initiatives on, and even when they have gotten ballot initiatives on, certainly the federal government hasn't had to abide by them. It's like in the state of California, where you know, really I could use as a lead example, and I'll go back to Jack even at that point, because, you know, in some sense here in North America, you know, California has really you know, been leading the way quite often, although as I'll get to, stumbling at times as well. But certainly after Jimmy Carter's administration kind of went down, not just because of the Bourne incident, but it didn't help, we had Ronald Reagan. So that sent many things backwards. And in the middle of all that, another story on the back of the handout there, you read about this gentleman here, Jack, her or hair, depending on how much French you have in your lineage, I guess. But Jack wrote a book that I actually, my good copy got stolen, so I have to bring my last one, or my other one, to the store, so I don't have it here. The Emperor Wears No Clothes. Critically important in the movement because it exposed the Reefer Madness campaign, as it's often called, or the hemp conspiracy, as many refer to it. But most people in the movement certainly had absolutely no memory of hemp or knowledge of hemp or any of the historical uses or facts associated with it. A few people did, and you know, it wasn't entirely lost in the memory of North American history. And Jack was able to, in the 70s, you know, collect a whole bunch of information, and he published his book, I think, in 1985. Now I think there's been 13 editions of it published, I think 650,000 copies. It has really brought the cannabis plant into the mainstream community. For essentially the first time, we had farmers on our side arguing to be able to grow this plant and re-legalize it. In fact, in Canada, largely because of cannabis activists making farmers aware of this plant, we did have changes in law occur. I think Joe Strobel grew his first plant in like '94 in Ontario, and it was made legal in '98. Not through any civil disobedience or activism per se, except letter writing campaigns, books, information. I forgot to bring it, but I have a newspaper article that I got in university from like 1991 that in some sense, really opened my eyes up to these things too. So, just simple little things that, you might not think are that important, can be brand new ideas to people. Activists are being born every day. They just need to be channeled in the right direction. So, anyway, Jack published the book. It opened up a whole new world for us, and you may as well go to the next one. It's a surprise for me too. And so, California just has exploded. I guess I don't think I have a picture of Dennis Perron in here, but I do got a picture of people protesting the DEA down in, I believe it was in California. Many things have started up, certainly there. Probably one of the most important was when Dennis Perron opened up the first, what we commonly refer to now as compassion clubs in San Francisco. I believe it was 1993. He very quickly was able to move it into, I think, the old police station, maybe a 4-story building where it was just really doing all sorts of amazing things. Got back on over there. Yeah. So, so down there, because of a ballot initiative, I believe it was 1995, the state of California has had a medical marijuana law. I can use it as an example of where one of our successes, again, just like I think is hurting us right now, even because the original intent of the law was to help, in particular, very sick people, and Dennis and others really started to help people in the AIDS movement who were basically dying. So essentially, the original intent, certainly the word was put out that we're trying to help people that are terminally ill. That was kind of the first message that was put out, and then the dramatic need of those individuals seemed to become less important as time went on, and the police became more tolerant, to the point where eventually Dennis Perron's San Francisco Cannabis Buyers Club was shut down because they were loosely defining what was medical and what wasn't. And unfortunately, although the law came into effect to help primarily people with serious medical problems, it's now turned into a point where there's probably hundreds of doctors in the state of California willing to sign people up $150 to, help you if you've got a headache or you can't sleep well or have road rage sometimes. So I'm not sure all the excuses they would use, but I've certainly seen, video footage. I think 60 Minutes did a piece last year. I've had my retired lawyer come up to me out of concern. It's very ironic. I don't talk about it in the class a lot, but I run the Cannabis Buyers Club of Canada. We've actually had to stop accepting cards from the state of California because we consider the way their rules to work to be too lax, and our Canadian government, or sorry, I should say judicial system, would probably not provide protection as leniently as the state of California obviously is. And so we require people to prove they've got the medical conditions that every other Canadian citizen is required to prove before they join our club. They just can't have a sleep problem and pay a doctor to sign a form. So there's like over 400 clubs in the state of California, and there's a serious amount of money being transacted. Some of the clubs are very concerned about helping